Hi Stampin' friends. Tonight we're going to use the Beauty of Friendship stamp set. And this has several dies and several stamps. It has some really nice sentiments, I think. It has thinking of you, I believe in you, hello, thank you, friendship refreshes the soul, and you truly inspire me. So on this inspiring one, I'm not necessarily sure. You have to have kind of a specific occasion on that, but the rest of them are reasonably useful. Anyway, I have several things that I want to show you about this tonight. There are a variety of papers in this as well, and then I also have several tips that I want to mention. First, I'd like to just show you the paper just to remind you what it is like. This is called Beautiful Friendship, the stamp set, and then the dies, but the Beauty of the Earth is the designer series paper name. So what we have is 6 different patterns. They are kind of small on one side, large on the other side, in my opinion. I've already cut these in 4-inch wide strips. So if you're going to use this as part of the front of a card, I like to go ahead and cut these in 4x12, and then after I cut them in 4x12, then I cut them the size of a card front, and then I can manipulate the paper better. So, and that happens to be what I'm putting in my paper swap. It's like a not exactly a swap, it's a share. So I'm doing that, and I'm doing it in this width, so I find it that I can get more use out of it than I can out of a 6x6. Some people cut it in 6x6, and this is what I would want, so that's why I use that. But again, the paper has these pretty guys on one side, and then on this side it has this can be used for making the tree look like you could be far off trees, like in a distance, or you can cut that with one of the dies. I'll show you that die in just a second. And then there's a sky, which you could use top and bottom of any top of anything. And then the back is kind of just a mottled floral, ferny type shape. And then there's a nice green, which you could use for spring treetops. And then this nice background. I think this would be great for possibly, there's not a die for cutting these out. I was kind of surprised, but I think it probably wouldn't be too hard to cut along the edge here and use that as a background piece with maybe the sky behind, if that makes sense. And then there's this one that's kind of a spring green fall sort of a thing. And then the background is the wood. So that's nice to use when you cut your branches die out. I'll show you that in a second. Then this one is kind of like a wintry forest in the middle of a snowstorm. So I thought it's a really pretty blue though. And then it has this fern on the back. And then it has this kind of conifer forest looking green. And then on the back of that is almost like, well, honestly, it kind of looks like it's on fire, but it's pretty though when you see the whole thing. And then this one I wanted to mention, they have the paper, it's as if it's in a complete circle. It goes all around the square of branches. So I could see that it might be a little hard to use, but I have a couple of ideas for it. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was the couple of dies real quick, and then I promise I'll get started. So this is the die that cuts out the tree shape, and then this die cuts out to go on top of it. You can also cut out something under it. So I'll probably do that some. So you could cut out this in like one color and this in another color. So if that makes sense. And then it also comes with some little birds, ta-da. And one other thing I wanted to mention, because I had written this down on my to-do list for showing you this. Have you noticed these in the, that they're starting to do this now? So they've printed it on the back of the box that the stamps come in. So I've been taking the stamps off of there and sticking them directly to the background, just like I do on, I use a piece of paper, but just like I do on the red rubber stamps. So to me, it makes it easier to keep track of what's missing, and they're not sliding around in there on their little sleeves of plastic. I did a couple of things ahead of time to try and make it so I could show you more things in the time that's allotted. The first thing I did was I stamped some sentiments just to have them available. I did this in Mary Merlot. I guess I should tell you the colors. Bumblebee, Cajun Craze, Cinnamon Cider, Early Espresso, Mary Merlot, Misty Moonlight is the blue, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Old Olive, and Whisper White are the colors that they suggest. So the Thinking of You I did in Mary Merlot, and the Thank You I did in Mossy Meadow. Then I did the Friendship Refreshes the Soul. I did that in the Mossy Meadow as well. And this one I used the Stitch So Sweetly dies. So that's why it's a little different. It's not one of these. These are the ones that are in the actual die set. So let me put that with it so I don't lose it, right? All right, I like to keep these on these little magnets. It makes it easier for me not to lose things. It's not perfect because I can still manage to lose some things. Okay, so there's that. And here are the things that I've already cut out. So you can see that if you just went through and cut yourself several of these things, that you could put together a lot of different ideas just with what you can cut out in just a few minutes. So the first thing I wanted to show you is the way that they look when they're cut from the paper. So this has the little bit of wood grain texture to it, and it's the one that has the backside in the green and yellow forest. And then I cut some out of the green and yellow forest to use for my tree topper. So what I kind of wanted to show there was, just a second, I got a spot, was kind of how this lines up on here. It's not perfect, but it's kind of just to look like a canopy. And it's there's a little bit of too much, in my opinion, white. So what I suggest for that is just using some more green to just fill in if you don't care for the white, or if you're going to put it on a background of, say, Pool Party or the pretty, let me find it real quick, the pretty, well, here it is, the pretty clouds, then you could color the white to be the color that this is, because I think that would make it look a little more realistic, and it would take very little time. To me, I just think that would make it look a little less stark where the white is when you cut it out with some of these colors. Now you can also, I did also cut it out with this solid green, and that's gorgeous as well. Hold on, let me get it turned halfway, right? Okay, there we go. So you can see that that's really probably the prettier way to do it. And I've got a piece of trash on there. Whoopsie. But anyway, this I think is maybe prettier, but you can see what I'm talking about. If we get rid of the white on the other one, it kind of would be just as pretty. Okay, so let's get started just putting some things together with this. And let's talk about a couple of the ideas that I had for making decisions. One thing I wanted to suggest is when you're, like, let's say I want to stamp directly on this. Like, I wanted to try to use the stamp here, this stamp right here, directly on this paper. And I'm trying to decide which brown to use, Early Espresso or maybe Soft Suede. So what I would suggest in this situation is just use one of your scraps. You know, we all end up with some scraps sometimes, and I think that's an easy way to determine what color would look best on there. First, I'm just going to do the darker color, the the Early Espresso. I'm just going to stamp it there and see what I think. So this kind of gives it a little bit of a spooky, kind of a shadowy look. So I'm wondering if the Soft Suede would give it a more brown look. So let's see. Put that right on there and see what I get. It does have more of a brown color. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the richer looking brown, whereas the other just kind of looks like a shaded fadeaway kind of a thing. So anyway, that's just something to think about when you're trying to decide what look you want. Is just remember to keep your scraps for things like that, and you can kind of make that decision a little easier. Okay, going to set those just aside for a second because I'll probably want them again. This will be one of the sets that would be great for a die cut class. So I will probably have that available with $50 online order for one of the choices, because I think that this will look really cute as a die cut class. Okay, so my thinking on this was, first I wanted to show you, this would make a great Christmas card. You can put your little red birds in the tree like this, and just put that on a background of real red and stamp your sentiment in real red. I think that would be really pretty. Another thing that's always good to do when you're trying to make it look icier is to put some Wink of Stella on the branches in different places like that, and add a little bit of sparkle. I know it's very hard to see on these videos, but I've put some sparkle on some of the edges of these little branches, and it makes it just look a little more, what would the word be? A little more realistic, I guess, or like you've taken a little more time with it, and it doesn't take that much time. Okay, so also we could use these smaller trees on here like this and put them on as well. I don't care for these quite as much because I think that they have a little bit of a kind of, you can't see the detail as well on these, but it's another option that we can use. Typically on those, it would probably be cutest to go ahead and cut up some of these bits and pieces to put on there and use it like a big tree. I don't know if I'm making sense, but like cut this down to a smaller, more manageable size, and then just put the pieces on like that. So you get this, I'd like to have this one with this little green thing. So this is kind of a different, I don't think we've had one quite like this, at least not in my recent memory. So there, maybe it would be kind of fun to put some on like that. And then I think I missed cutting that one out, but like if you had a green background, that would be really pretty on there with that one. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and put together some ideas for this that I think could be cute. And then I'm going to do some coloring, some watercoloring with our, hopefully our freesia. Oh, it's right here. I set it so I could find it easily and then I didn't see it. But yes, I think this freesia will be really pretty as a kind of a topper on these colors. So what I've done is I've got an aqua painter, and they have a new name now. I can't remember what it is. But something to put some color on this piece. So maybe, I know in Oklahoma we have red buds, and they're kind of the fresh freesia color. But in other places, like we've been to places where they have like tulip trees, things like that, and they will have green on at the same time as the as a pretty pink or kind of a bluish pink. Anyway, so what I was thinking on this is I would just try it and see what it looked like. And then imagine putting this on a green background here. So just 1 minute, let me spin it. It's not taking very much time, so I think we can all be patient while I do this little part. And you're going to get a lot more texture out of this. This is watercolor paper. It's in the catalog. Just our regular watercolor paper. And I think this just gives it a little more variation of color, more gradients of color by just putting this on like this. And you can go back and add more, or you can not put as much in certain places, whatever it kind of seems like you should do. You can kind of see how lightly designed it is. And let me put it against this green here because I think that'll help. Yeah, see, isn't that nice? It just kind of gives it kind of a sweet, it almost looks like an azalea. So I think that's kind of a nice look for our treetops. I think that would be quite pretty. So if you had this tree and you had this background, you might even not necessarily need to add, see if this makes sense. If I left the top, I might put something, a different color of green on for the bottom. But if you left this green background, does that make any sense at all? What I'm trying to say is that you wouldn't necessarily, you could leave this green as the background. You wouldn't necessarily have to cut it out. Like it's just one beautiful tree in a forest, if that makes sense. So that's my idea for that one. And I've cut some cardstock to imagine putting on as our, and I didn't score it correctly. Nice. I wonder if I scored them both crazy. Sometimes I do that. No, this one's right. Okay. All right. Or it's somewhat right. Who knows what I'm doing with this paper. Anyway, I was thinking it would be really pretty to put on here. And then we have the Mossy Meadow. This actually carried over into the new catalog. This Mossy Meadow. I don't think it's called twine. I think it's braided twine. And so that would be really pretty along the bottom, just to give it a little bit of detail. And then probably our new bling. We now have rhinestones to actually match. And I just think that they would add a lot right up here in the corner, just kind of matching that. So anyway, there is one card. I could probably put the friendship refreshes the soul on there. But I was kind of just imagining it as a thank you card, because I'll need those for orders. Those are always fun to make. So there you can see how I think that is so striking. And you saw how quickly I colored this and imagined how to do the card. So I think that this is actually a very feminine card, whereas maybe we think of this particular grouping as masculine because it's very nature oriented. So anyway, this is just a way to make it feminine. So there's our one idea. And then I worked on making this Christmassy. So what I did here, I just kind of imagined the sky, and then I would probably go through here and tear a little bit of edge here. I don't know why I didn't, but let's see now. Pink piece looked just sitting on the ground. Yeah, they have been doing these like bushes, Carla. I'm not big on a big bush on my picture. I don't know. Maybe I'm just, it's hard for me to imagine it on such a small surface. Even if it was this direction, it's kind of much. But you can see here how gorgeous this would be on this one as well. I mean, it's just the way that you see through this and see through the back of the card. And I'm sure that I'm not doing it justice, but it's so beautiful the way that you can see through, and it looks so realistic. And it doesn't even necessarily, it's not just this coloring that's so pretty, anything that you do with it is really striking. So like this one, well, if I can get it to lay on there correctly, it's kind of sticking. This one with all of the colors in it, you can see how striking that is on the background paper. So there is that. And then I was imagining the white. I showed you that earlier. I'm so sorry. I am not having it all together tonight. Okay, and then I wanted to show you really quickly, kind of a short one tonight, I guess, because there's so much that you can do with this that I don't think I necessarily need to show you over and over. But I really liked this particular background as well, cut into this shape for fall. So for fall, there are a variety of ways that you can use it. And I thought this one looked nice and fall-like. But then I also like the idea of using this one as just a portion of the paper. Because like I said, the paper is very kind of busy-like. So I thought it would be pretty to put this on here and on our Mary Merlot. And this is Cajun Craze. And so I just thought that that would be really pretty for a fall card. So I like the idea that you can have winter, spring, summer, and fall out of this set. And if you're wanting to make nature cards, you're kind of all set for that. Now this is tone on tone, so that's probably not the way to go. Maybe, I wonder if the green one would look better, the solid, more solid. Oh, it does. Yeah, looky there. That's really striking. So, and you know, nothing says this has to be out of designer series paper. It would be gorgeous out of cardstock as well. So, and you could always add a little bit of shading with your sponge daubers on your cardstock. So like maybe do this in Old Olive and then go around the edge with your Mossy Meadow. And that will give you both colors of green that are in the paper and give it a little more interest. So there's that. And this one to me is one that would be really good with Friendship Refreshes the Soul. So yeah. So there is another card. And then I think finally all I wanted to show you was, whoops-a-daisy, these little guys, just kind of on here like this. And let me see, well, I have this is wonky paper, but imagining it being on a green background that fits it, that would be best. And just putting these on and using little bits of this, like I had mentioned, as the treetop part. So there is some cutting to do when you decide to do this, because you want to make it to the shape of, you know, into the shape of a treetop. But like you can see, I'm not even really trying, and you can get it into a treetop shape. So like that, and it would probably be even prettier with a background piece like this. So that's definitely a way to give it more impact. You know, if you're wanting to use pattern, because this has so many pretty patterns, you'll get more impact if you use a solid behind and breaking up the patterns. So there's your little tiny tip of the day. So anyway, I hope that you will enjoy using this set and seeing this set. We'll probably use it in several of my classes this time. And it is called Beauty of the Earth, or Beauty of Friendship. It's kind of, you know, they mess up our names on these sometimes. As you're imagining things for this, let me know if you have some ideas that you'd like to see, and I will try to imagine them for you and get them onto a card or onto a particular idea. Because this would be definitely one, my point is, this would be one that would lend itself really well to those 12 by 12s and things like that have, you know, like a little scene. And, you know, we've done some at Christmas time with reindeer and stuff like that. This would be really pretty made into a shadow boxy type card, a shadow boxy type vignette. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.